Hapon po sa ating lahat. Kayo po ba'y gising o tulog? Libre ata ang kape doon, bawal ang matulog. So, the topic given to me was increasing scientific productivity and technology transfer. Ngayon lang po tayo talagang makapagsalita sa ganitong auditorium na napakalayo ng ating screen, no? Para po tayong nanonood ng sine. So hopefully nakikita nyo ang slides natin, although yung pagka merong table, talagang hindi nyo makikita. So how do we increase scientific productivity and technology transfer? So yun po ang ating favorite thing ngayon. Hindi lang po sa researchers, sa reps, sa faculty din. No? At dinagdag po natin yung technology transfer. So these are the items that I would like to talk about this afternoon. Why we do research? How do we measure research productivity? What is the status of our scientific productivity and tech transfer? What seems to be the problem? Why do we need to increase, and how do we address the problems? Why do we do research as reps, especially the researchers, full-time researchers? Because it's our job. And it's our primary responsibility as researchers. Even with faculty, although they do a lot of teaching, it's also their responsibility to do research. And how do we measure scientific productivity? One, this was already mentioned earlier by Vice Ganda. Mas maganda po siya kay Vice Ganda. Of course, publish scientific papers, preferably ISI, that means Institute for Scientific Information, or Thomson Reuters, accredited, and Scopus. We have to take care of take note of the number, and then impact, no? The impact of the paper. Also, of course, developed technologies are very important measure of scientific productivity. And this can be in terms of registered and patented technologies. So when you say technology, it can be patented, it can be registered depending on the technology. Pwede rin hindi siya patented, hindi siya registered, but it's adopted. And that's very important, no? So you have to show the extension of adoption of technologies. And not all technologies need to be patented. Now, this is always a question, bakit pa naman ISI pa? Dito, pwede ko naman pa-publish dito. If your paper is not published in an established journal, especially if it's not ISI or Scopus, it remains in the gray literature. If your project report stays as a report and not published, it is considered gray literature. And what happens if it's in the gray literature? It is almost not cited at all. Why? Because it's not in any database. It's like the research was never done before. Sometimes you go to a conference, even a local conference, and then the speaker talks about this and this and that, and you say, ginawa ko na yun 10 years ago, but you did not publish. So nobody knows what you did. No? So it's like the research was never done before. And it's not used in ranking of universities. If it's not ISI, if it's a Scopus, sorry na lang. It did not contribute to the ranking of the university. So it's very important that we really work very hard so that our papers will be published in the accredited journals, ISI or Scopus. And there's so many of them that it's almost impossible to say, wala akong mapili, or they're so expensive, because many of the good journals are free to publish in. Okay, so, and if your paper is very good, then probably pwede kang magpa-waiver, hindi ka nila i-charge. Because publication is so competitive now that many journals really would like to attract good papers. One example is the Journal of Agriculture and Food Chemistry. When we started publishing in the JAFC, we call it JAFC, 20 years ago or so, baka mas matanda pa. Ang bayad po, authors would have to pay $200 per page. Okay? And the money then was higher in value. But we still, wanted to see whether our paper had enough quality to be published in the JAFC. And we have many papers, indeed, that were published in JAFC. Did we pay? No, we did not. Because they have the provision that if your paper is accepted, you can ask for a waiver of page charges. So if it's 5 or 6 pages, that's 200 times 5. That's still sizable, $1,000 or so. You can do it, no? So, ang importante yung may paper ka ipapublish. So, what is the status of our scientific productivity and tech transfer? Again, Vice Chancellor Espaldon mentioned that we are number one in Asia in terms of UPLB, no? UPLB in agricultural sciences with ERI. However, of course, if you now compare total number of publications, not only agriculture, we're actually down below. No? Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore, and even Vietnam have already surpassed us. So this is a slide from Vice Chancellor's presentation, just showing the reps profile by designation, just showing how much power, or what's the number of the reps, no? So majority will be the UR and the URA, and we have UES here. So we have this much manpower in research. Now, publications output. This is just a summary from 2008 to 2012. Journal articles reported or published in ISR Scopus. 2008, 81. 2009, tumaas. Bumaba ulit, tumaas. Mas mataas ng konti. Of course, it's it's going up because of the awards that are available or are given to the authors. But considering that there are 300 PhDs, and many more MS degree holders at UPLB, considering that do we have 7 or more institutes, research institutes and centers at UPLB with full-time 300 researchers, including project staff, publications output is definitely low. So why is this so? No? Of course, in terms of patents, we have this. No? It's still also very low. But I think next time we should also include other technologies that are not registered. The varieties may registered or not registered. Now, what seems to be the problem? Let's go through this. Is it lack of R&D fund? Is it lack of experience and know-how in writing research proposals? Lack of experience and know-how in writing scientific papers? No time to write? Inadequacy of data, etc.? Let's go through this one by one. Lack of R&D fund. This is the R&D fund of UPLB from 2005 to 2009. It's 1 billion pesos. Hindi pa dyan nakakalagay yung 50 million na nakuha ni Dr. Iborra. And the 50 million that was obtained by Institute of Chemistry for nanotechnology. And so many millions that Dr. Lorena and Dr. Laude obtained for genomics. So tell me, if some of you or your institutes do not have research funds, there's something wrong. You're not submitting proposals that are being that can be funded. Ang dami pong pera, palaging pag nagpunta ka ng DOST, sasabihin ang daming pera. Pag pumunta ka sa DA Biotech, mas kukonti pera nila, may pera din, no? Or DA Bar. DA Bar DA Biotech, DOST. They really have lots of funds. So if it's a problem of if you don't have the grants to work on, I'm sure the OVICRE will help, no, in writing proposals. But certainly in this time where we have plenty of money for research, we should avail of the research money. And aim high, aim big. No, hindi pwede ngayon yung mga individual projects by just one person. Usually, it's interdisciplinary, it's bigger. The small projects are really for the starting researchers. If you are starting as an MS or a new PhD, start small. Start with the basic research. Start with 300,000 and 500,000. As you mature, then you go for bigger projects. But bigger projects are obtained if you work with collaborators. So ito po yung sa research institutes. Ang maganda sa research institutes, pwede talaga kayo magkaroon ng isang mas malaking project o programa. No? And we also encourage inter-college, inter-institute collaboration. Probably, well, you should have heard of the emerging interdisciplinary research program of UP system. That is talagang interdisciplinary and inter-CU pa, no? So the more inter-CU and the more interdisciplinary, you can get really very big project grants, up to 20 million pesos. From UP, that's from UP. So here, we say there is low conversion of grant money to publications and technologies. Considering that we have this kind of money, mababa pa rin yung conversion natin from grant money to publications or to technologies. So we just have to find out what's really the matter, no? So if it's on the know-how in writing research proposals, if you're just starting, especially for the starting researchers, OVICRE has workshops on writing research proposals. So I think, pwede natin talagang i-request pa sa OVICRE na magkaroon nito so that we can help really the budding researchers. And then the more senior and funded researchers should mentor the junior researchers in writing research proposals. So, I come from the Institute of Plant Breeding. Actually, I was a reps before. I was reps until 1992 and was converted to faculty at the time because I couldn't go anywhere. Wala pang scientific career system. The only way to go was to convert to faculty. But I'm not going to say, kasi iba na yung ano ko ngayon, we need research institutes and full-time researchers to do this good research. So we have to encourage researchers, good researchers, to stay on being researchers, full-time researchers. But anyway, so we have a lot of experience in writing proposals. We involve our junior staff in writing proposals. Kung hindi maganda, tsaka mo tuturuan. So you just have to mentor not only in writing scientific articles but also in writing research proposals. Practice, write one, have it reviewed by the mentor and submit. So the younger people, you can do this, no? How about the lack of experience and know-how in writing scientific papers? Again, OVICRE has workshops on writing scientific papers. I know because I'm Suki there. There's also an OVCI, kaya lang, that's really for the young faculty. Again, Crop Science Cluster, REPSA, had invited me many years ago to give a seminar on this. Pero ang problema ko ngayon sa mga seminars, I can see the output no? So I prefer workshops. And people have to bring their draft and improve on the draft. While I'm talking, so it's like this, so you now work on your drafts. Phil Rice invited me for a 2-day workshop just for writing scientific articles. Ganon silang kaseryoso to increase their scientific productivity and output. And again, the more senior and published researchers should mentor junior researchers. At IPB, we have many published researchers. Cecil is here. Loli, sino ba nakita ko? Nagtuturo na sila, no? So we have to mentor our junior researchers. They are co-authors in our publications. Then when they are co-authors, that doesn't mean that they just contributed the research results, but they are also involved in the writing. First, they write the report, and then the senior staff, the senior researcher rewrites it, and then gets everybody involved. Research institute should provide already workshops for the researchers. No? So kasi napakarami. Pagka nandun sa OBICRE, punong-puno yung conference room, it really should be done at the institute level. No time to write scientific papers. I'm sorry, no, I heard it earlier. It's not an acceptable reason, especially you are full-time researchers. Sorry, I'm going to say something that you may not like. May nadidinig akong faculty na nagsasabi, mas marami pang ang papers ng faculty kaysa sa researchers. Full-time researchers yan. Papayag ba kayo doon? So I asked Vice Chancellor Espaldon that we should disaggregate. You know, doon sa listahan ng 171 publications, ilan ba doon ang contributed talaga ng full-time researchers? Ilan yung collaboration between reps and faculty, and ilan talaga yung faculty? Kasi we collaborate with faculty, no? This is part of our being researchers, and writing and all activities needed should be part of our work. If you say, I cannot attend your meeting because I need to finish a paper, that's a very valid reason. We attend so many meetings in this university. Diba? So, pagkatapos itong workshop nyo na to, pagbalik nyo, magsusulat na kayo ng papers. Kasi we have all sorts of reasons. But many of you are Japayuki students, no? Japan alumni. You say you're sensei. How many times during the week, nandun siya sa kanyang office, hindi mo siya maaabala. Why? Because he is writing the paper that you need to graduate. It's already in their culture. Ang problema, nawawala yung culture natin na yun na magsulat. Because before 1962, I don't have the slide anymore. Before 1960, the UPCA people were writing, publishing, no? But because of probably the distractions of modern technology, television now, computer games, you have all the reasons not to write the paper. But remember, it is your responsibility. You're accountable for that. Kaya ngayon, if you are going to do a research proposal, submit, meron ng kulatilla yung funding agency. You have to publish. You have to publish. Okay? So, let us accept this. Because if you don't accept na it's part of our job, you have all kinds of reasons not to do it. As I said, I was a reps before. And when I was raising my kids, we didn't have any katulong, so when I go back at home, do all the household chores, cook, sabi nga ng anak ko, mami, pag nagpa-plancha ka naman, sarap ng television, di ko na makita yung television. But when the children are asleep, then that's the time that I write papers. Okay? And I remember writing a paper, and there was the movie on Mozart, you know? So, it's part, culture lang, habit, no? And you have to form it. And you have to impart it to your students and to your junior staff. If you don't, wala din sila. Sorry na lang tayo. We're trying to build a research culture in the university, but if the the mentor himself, the senior researcher himself, cannot be a model for the junior ones, we will never be able to develop a research culture. Or at least build it up again. Because we said we had a research culture before. Okay? So we have to build it up again. Now, this is the problem. Inadequacy of data for publication. Okay, meron kang report, you try to write a paper on it, you submit. Wow, hindi na-accept. And then, of course, you got demoralized and never looked at the paper again. And it just went into your drawer. So, this is really a big problem, but we have to face it. What to do? For a study, we have to find out what data are needed to publish. We will have to do that now. How much, how deep, how wide. Consider the appropriate experimental design and statistical design, what equipment, supplies, facilities needed. So when you're thinking of a paper, it starts really when you do the research. Or even when you are going to do the research proposal. Ganun yun eh, oh. Eh kung kulang pala ang data mo, nangyari na sa akin yan. I cannot finish a paper because I wanted the student to graduate. Pagka-graduate niya, butas ang data. So what do I need? I need another student to fill up the missing information. Buti kung meron kang estudyante pa na mag-fill up ng data. So really, what you have to do and what we have to do is write the paper already while the student is there. So, you know what the data are needed, what data are needed, and what missing data should be supplied. And, when we submitted papers 10 years ago, we published, hindi na po yun ngayon. Baka hindi na publishable ngayon. Kasi because of the technology, and because of the competition, itong wide world, talagang lumiit ang mundo, very competitive ang publication. Pati ang data, the amount of data that you need to publish is now more enormous. It's more complicated and bigger. Pagka yung pong aming collaborator na Japanese ang nag-submit ng paper, wala pong kaya talagang mapapublish. Bakit? Sa dami na lang ng data and quality data. No? Ay, hindi nga lang maganda ang pagkaka-Ingles, pero yung pagkaka-Ingles, madaling gawa ng paraan. Ang mahirap gawa ng paraan, kung pangit ang data, kulang ang data. Okay? So, you have to do all of this. You have to target, okay, increasing the number, increasing the quality, but you need to benchmark, choosing journals of higher impact, studying the journals, the topics, and the data contents. In your own respective disciplines, gusto kong mag-publish doon. Ano bang klaseng data ang kailangan nila? For example, in JAFC, this is just 2013, antioxidant and anti-diabetic activities of black mung bean. Kayang-kaya namin yung antioxidant. We were doing that 10 years ago. But now, if you want to publish, we need another, bioactivity, anti-diabetic. Resistance to weevil, Xylus puncticulus, and Xylus, etc. by sweet potato root surface compounds. So if you want to publish in JAFC, we have to find out what are they accepting now. Pwede pa ba yung pinadala namin 10 years ago o 5 years ago? Hindi na pwede. Kailangan dagdagan. Ganun lang. Hindi pala ganun lang. Pero ganun dapat ang gagawin natin. So, find out what good quality journals are publishing and publish in more challenging high-impact journals. If your paper has been accepted in Philippine Journal of Crop Science, congratulations, you get 55,000 pesos. But then for your next paper, try Philippine Agricultural Scientist, mas mahirap pong mag-publish doon. Pagka nakapasa kayo doon, lumabas na kayo. You aim higher and higher. No? Hindi pwedeng doon lang sa kung saan mas mabilis mag-accept. That is not, again, acceptable. No money for publication. Many journals, good ones, do not charge for publication. JAFC doesn't charge for publication anymore. Food Research International, which is part of the Elsevier, which even has a higher impact factor, does not charge for pages anymore for publication. But we paid $500 for printing the figures in color, no? So, pagka kailangan nyo naman po yung money for publication, printing color photos, you can get from UPLB, it's $500 every 2 years, once lang po. From UP system also, from your funding agency, from the scientific system, there is also allowance for that. For technologies, we have similar recommendations, but you need to really know who is your clientele. If you have a certain technology that you're developing, you have to know your clientele. Because if it's technology, it's for commercialization and adoption. No? Pagka hindi in-adapt, hindi talagang pang lang siya, pang CV lang siya. So you have to know this. You should be technically and scientifically and kasama yung economically sound. Consider the appropriate design, what equipment, supplies, facilities needed. Consider also the requirements for the registration, the possible registration, and publication. You know, even if you have a technology, you can also publish. Those who are doing plant breeding can also publish. But they have to superimpose some other experiments to be able to have an original research article. So when you have a technology, you should try to register. Again, what are the requirements? You have to meet the requirements. Do publish, no? And ask CTTE for assistance in commercialization. We really would like all of you to know about the CTTE, the Center for Technology, Transfer, and Entrepreneurship under the OVICRE. And they will help you in getting patents if that's necessary, or getting a partner for investments, etc. They know it. And we would like to encourage the institutes to use the CTTE arm rather than do the marketing themselves. If you are in the research institute, you should do research, not selling. Familiarize with UP Intellectual Property Rights of Policy of 2011. That should really be part of the continuing education of the reps. And familiarize yourselves with the Technology Transfer Act, which gives you, as inventor, 40% of the royalty. Okay, so if you're an inventor, it's 40% of the royalty. And UP, that's also in the UP Property Rights Policy. Now, plans and targets aim high. And we would like to do this at all levels, at the institute level and down to the individual. At the institute level, let us get yearly baseline information. What are the publications of the researchers? The technologies, including their contribution. Now we're asking for the specific contribution of the author or of the technologies, no? Hindi lang kaibigan kita, sasama na kita dyan. O kaya ikaw ang director, kasama ka. Hindi pwede yon. Kailangan there should be substantial contribution to the publication and to the technology. At the institute division, laboratory, individual level, then we encourage that they target the number of publications per year, the number of technologies, perhaps per 5 years. But let's look at the increased adoption. The adoption is very important. And we should now involve our SEM to do this, the adoption. You know, C4 rice was adopted to the extent of 45% during the time that it was released in the 1960s. C4 rice. Dr. Escuro, our national scientist, Dr. Escuro was the plant breeder. So let's do this exercise. Let us target, let us aim. Bakit ko po sinasabi na kaya natin to? Ganun din po ang ginawa namin sa laboratory. Noong lumabas ang yung International Publication Award ng UP, one publication would give you 55,000 pesos to be shared among the authors. Wala kaming publication, no? Kasi, medyo nag-lapse. And so I said, we have to go back to writing. So, we aim 1, 2, 3. Doable. Let's say one this year, next year 2 years, the following year 3 years. If there are 3 researchers in the lab, you should really aim at 3 at 1 per researcher. So that you have 3 for the lab if you have 3 researchers. No? So, and then magiging culture, it's a habit, so every year you have 3 times 55,000 pesos. Why do we need this? For the noble reason that we would like to help establish the UPLB as a research university, as well as, of course, the UP system. However, we can also do it for these reasons. Awards and incentives. UP International Publication Award. For journals with no impact factor, it's 55,000. Less than 2, 65,000. Greater than 2, 80,000. Di po ba? Malaking blowout na po ito. Dagdag po ito sa ating mga pera, kapirahan. So, the first thing, you check the ISI journal that you're interested in. If your paper is really good, you say, this is comparable to the papers that are being published in journals with impact factor 1, 1.5, let's aim for that. And that's, minsan may nagsasabi sa akin mga younger faculty, saan ko pa pwedeng i-submit ito? Sabi ko, pwede bang dito? Ano ba yan? Ayun yung thesis ko sa UK ata o sa Germany. Ganun ba? Aim higher. Aim mo doon sa, ano ba yung kalakalan dyan sa discipline na yan? And true enough, the next time he saw me, Ma'am, thank you for your encouragement because my paper was accepted in the transactions of the UK Royal Society. Imagine? So, ganun lang, no? So, aim high. Pagka hindi na-accept doon, medyo mag-slide ka ng konti. The thing is that when you get all the suggestions, comments, you can further improve your paper. And then you can aim to submit it to another journal. Other university and professional awards, ano lang yan, dagdag ng dagdag, no? And of course, promotion. So, but I think the highest incentive will be this, scientific career system. Be a part of the scientific career system. Because I told you that, well, the main problem as you were discussing earlier, pagka ikaw ay nasa reps salary grade 16, for example, forever ka na doon unless somebody dies and or resigns and as SG 18 is released, di ba? Kaya I was stuck at researcher 3 because people were young and not retiring yet, so I couldn't be promoted to 4 to 3 to 4. Hindi ko akala ko nga wala ng 4 no? Meron pala. So, but what is this scientific career system? So this is really an incentive for you to do very well as researchers and stay as researchers. Okay? So why? Let me show you. So sino ba itong mga ito? Ayan. So can you see them very well? So what is SCS? It's a system of recruitment, career progression, recognition, and reward of scientists in public service. It's based on scientific productivity, career paths that shall allow scientists to develop within the respective areas of expertise, and incentives and rewards to ensure attraction and retention of highly qualified persons in government service. Who are qualified? Full-time researchers in government, research and development institutes, RDIs, full-time researchers, non-faculty in SUPs, with at least a master's degree and 10 years of productive professional R&D works in the government service. So we underline non-faculty. You know, many years ago, when the SCS, the career system opened up, it accepted researchers from SOCs, and they were faculty members. But I think it was only once or twice. Once it was stopped because this is supposed to be for full-time researchers. The faculty members have their own track. Okay, and they with the faculty member kasi yung kanyang it grows with him the plantilla, the item. Kayo, tayo, ang reps hindi. No? So this is really an incentive for full-time researchers. Coverage, natural sciences, engineering and technology, medical sciences, agricultural sciences, and selected sciences of social science, like economics. What are the scientist ranks? 1 is 26, 2 is 27, 3 is 28, 4 is 29, 5 is 30, like secretary of a department. Okay? Nobody has attained scientist 5. When one gets recommended for 5, it goes to the President of the Philippines. It's like the national scientist. Many have attained 4, but not 5. None for 5. And even if you are salary grade 14 or 16, you can jump to 26. It's yours forever. When you retire, you are salary grade 26 or 27. You retain if you're researcher 3, you're researcher 3 because, nobody's dying yet, so you can be researcher 4. But you have this, your salary grade is different. No? Ang salary grade mo different, but you retain your whatever position you have. Incentives, RATA, Magna Carta benefits, travel assistance, international paper presentation, membership, publication assistance. International paper is $2,000 per scientist every 2 years. UPLB will give you $500. But this gives you $2,000. Okay? So, over and above your SG26, you get this. How nominees are evaluated, For admission and upgrading, Part A, scientific productivity, not less than 80% of the total points. Part B, scientific and professional standing, not more than 20%. So actually, for the entry rank of Scientist 1, you can have just scientific productivity and be Scientist 1. You don't need the professional standing. So, but it's in terms of scientific productivity, so that's registered and patented technologies, scientific papers, and some points for others, no? But now we are really going to have more of the scientific papers and technologies. Minimum requirements, so napakababa nga, 1 lang yung ISI, Part A, but you have to fill up yung 40, 10, that's the minimum, no? So, I think 60 ang minimum requirement for S1. And how many do we have at UPLB? 13. So congratulations to our 13 full-time researchers who have been conferred Scientist 1. And one of them, Scientist 2, Dr. Pulhin. No? So they were conferred only last July 29. This is the Scientific Council. Chair Duque is the chair. DOST Secretary is the co-chair, and ex-officio members, the President of NRCP, NAS, and the UP system. And I have been designated as Executive Secretary, and The office, the secretariat is now hosted by NAST, and our executive director is Ningning Samarita Domingo, and our secretariat staff, Charlotte and JR. So I brought some materials for the SCS. I have only 50 copies. So if you need more, do you have some in the office? So you can get some from the office of the Vice Chancellor. Okay, so I hope that I have given you some inspiration, some information to stay on as full-time researchers, but be very good so that you can become a scientist. Ang gusto nga ni Chair Duque is to really increase, no? To increase the number. Right now, we have only 41. Do you mean we have only 41 good scientists in the whole Philippines? Di ba? 41 lang eh. 13 pa nga nanggaling sa UPLB. Imagine that. No? So, thank you, and we can have some questions.